Hi guys, Raycon here. Do we carry on the discussion about our West Indies team and the selection process and this, that and the other? I don't think so. We've been beaten by South Africa for both these test matches. It's not only the beating that we received, but it's the manner in which we were not performing as well as we should. When I looked at the South African bowling team, I realized that this team would have studied the West Indies to the letter. How could you have four medium pace bowlers bowling accurately, just slightly short of a good length, the ball moving away from the right-hander, deviating away, not swinging away. It was really doing its work. And then the ball moving the other side for the left-handers. It was a wonderful bowling performance by South Africa. And we can't say the same thing for the West Indian players. It is rather interesting that they get out the same way. Craig Brathwaite was out the same way. You had so many of those players out at the same type of bowling at them. We saw Kyle Myers, who was batting himself and working hard at it, and as soon as the short ball came on, he was out, and he got out on 2 occasions with it. As far as our bowlers were concerned, they were quite good. They were intelligent, they bowled beautifully. Jayden Seales bowled well. Kemar Root was the master of it all. We got some good bowling from Jason Holder as well. So there is nothing to quarrel about with the bowling all that much, but the batting was worrisome. I was happy to hear Brian Lara talking about the performance of the batsman. Maybe there was a hint of annoyance in what he is seeing now. That's true in everybody else. Some people are saying, how could we have seen Frank Worrell or Everton Weekes, or if we are young enough to have seen Brian Lara or Alvin Kalituran or Rohan Kanai or whoever you want to see? We had loads of them whose orthodox batting would have been an education for the young people. Brian Lara has even offered his services to ensure that tomorrow's future is going to be of a much higher standard. But let's look a little bit at the West Indies now. Okay, so they've not going to have test matches until the Australians come in. But this is the time to learn. This is the time to educate themselves by taking a good close look at what they have done about South Africa, by getting the coaches, not only Phil Simmons alone, the other coaches around. Desmond Haynes shouted aloud because of the poor batting. Ask him to come along. He was a great opening batsman. There are many things that need to be done at this point in time with the West Indies team, and it needs to be done at this point in time. I didn't think that they could make any adjustments between the first and second test match, but they can now. And I'm pretty certain that the T20 matches, which will take place in a few days, will not include many of these players. So there is time to go to the nets and work hard enough. I know that some of them do not aim at planning an innings, and that's a problem in a test match. In the T20 games, if they play, they're going to go back into the old swiping and trying to see if they get 6s and 4s and that sort of stuff. Test cricket leads a lot more than that. And it is a signal to the West Indies Cricket Board as well. You've got to prepare a test team to play test cricket. You've got to make sure that you divide the groups. The T20s, the ODIs, they must be of a different brand. Their approach must be different. And I certainly expect that they will do it. It's not just a question of criticizing these guys, because they are probably picking up what they learned on the way. Craig Brathwaite said on the report today that the team needs to bat better, that's all. We knew that. But how are you going to do it? And he mentioned we have to correct a few things in the nets, and I thought that to be healthy, because that's exactly what they need. And at the same time, there's got to be that sort of urgency to be dedicated to batting if you want to play for the West Indies. Don't speculate with bowling that's good and say I'm going to take a chance. It does not make sense. I admired in 1 or 2 occasions where it has happened, but it was only temporary. Myers was playing quite well, and he lost his wicket with irrational playing. Of course, our captain was not doing well in the entire match. We saw a pretty good show from Powell, a left-hander, and batting as well as one could have expected. The others were not what we wanted. One of the observations for me, outside of the fact that South African bowlers are tremendous, and our bowlers are tremendous as well, but what is interesting about this is that, have you noticed Rabada? When his team wanted to he's down at number 9. But he went there and he played an inning as though he was a middle order batsman. He was making every effort to get runs. And that's what got them to their score. We need to deal with that in one way or another. Okay, so you can't expect all to be batsmen, but you can expect them to try. How many of players we have seen in our midst sometimes, the all-round players, the fast bowlers, sometimes were able to settle down and get some runs. We didn't see it in our bowlers, except of course for Kemar Roach when he came around. So it is not a criticism, it is an education. Now is the time to take a look again at the South African tape and see where you went wrong. Then get into the net with your coaches and work it out. Australia is just about 3 weeks out down the road. We do not want to have the same quality of batting at that time, and there's nowhere to go, because the chances of spreading to other players, I don't think it makes sense. You've got to work with it. This is what we got to work with. We've got to improve it, and that is the important factor. Thanks to Brian Lara for offering his services. I think that's a great thing. They've got 4 left-handers in the team. I'm sure he can help. And I'm pretty sure that he will be willing to help, because he has indicated this on the television set. So bad luck to the West Indies, but we look at it as a learning exercise and hope that the next test series we're going to see a much better test team than we have seen at this point in time. In the meantime, I can't help but congratulate the bowlers of the South African team and Maharaj, the left-arm spinner. Oh, wonderful orthodox bowler. He bowled exceptionally well, and he was deserving of his hat-trick. Well done, South Africa. West Indies, get to the nets and try to correct the faults, and let's make Australia work harder for whatever they've got to get in their matches against us.